So Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog, and I found this on VG247, says that their next game will be structured like a TV show. Here, I'll put it up on the screen, and that's the article. You know it's real. All right. There's really not a lot of meat to this. The headline is the story. They actually spend more time talking about the curse of video game adaptations. That's what the New Yorker interview is actually about. But this one line is actually pretty interesting. So Neil Druckmann says the next game, we don't know if it's Last of Us, we don't know what it is, but it will be structured like a TV show. Now, my question immediately is, how much do gamers want this? We've been through the episodic stuff. We did that with Telltale. It was novel at the time. It was okay, but it didn't push games forward. It didn't make them better. We got a lot from the whole cliffhanger thing. That was cool for a little bit, but then we realized we could just play the whole thing and still have those moments. Those little cliffhanger moments, it don't really have to last over a week. We could have it immediately and it still be a good thing. So we really haven't seen this episodic structure in the same way that Telltale did it in a while. I think the closest thing we're having to it right now is the way Square Enix is doing it with Final Fantasy VII Remake. But after that, it didn't push games forward. It didn't make games better. So why would Naughty Dog do this? I had an epiphany about this. And let me close this. I think you got the point. But I had an epiphany. And I'm not a fan of Sony's kind of heavy story, not as heavy on gameplay type of games. I'm not saying they're bad. I play them. I do enjoy them. But video games is my favorite medium. And I feel like those kind of games don't necessarily portray video games at their best. I would honestly say something closer to Elden Ring, and I'm not even an Elden Ring fan, does that better. I just wish Elden Ring had a better story. But this is what Sony has chosen to do, and I finally get why. What has Sony been before PlayStation came around? They had Sony Motion Pictures. That was founded in 1987. It's been going for about 30 years. Sony's been making TVs since 1985, also going on 30 plus years. Sony is leaning on what they do best, movies and TVs. And I am assuming, my gut says they are leaning on Naughty Dog to push that further through video games. And so this is what they do. This is what they know. Companies that lean into what they do best tend to be successful. Look at Microsoft. They specialize in services. In the video game space, Microsoft is it's a heavy hitter, but that's because they got money to throw around. But guess what? When Microsoft got its biggest, it's when Xbox Live started to become a thing, a service. Now their next thing, Game Pass, a service. Games, they don't do so well. They've had a few, but overall, look how long it's taken them to make games. They've acquired a bunch of studios, still don't have a bunch of games. They do services. Nintendo, very good at making games. That is what they do. They started as a card maker. That's what they do. Games is in their blood. Services, no, Nintendo sucks at that. Online, Nintendo sucks at that. We go back to PlayStation. What have they been good at? Yeah, they've been in audio. They've been doing these things. What has really lasted for Sony? Movies, TV, and literally selling TVs. This is what Sony is good at. And so it kind of makes sense for Sony to go to Naughty Dog and say, hey, why don't you guys make a game that's structured like a TV show? And maybe Sony didn't go to Naughty Dog and suggest that. Maybe that's what Naughty Dog wanted to do. And maybe they pitched that idea to Sony because they know that would be something good for Sony. I don't know. My gut says they definitely collaborated on this idea. And I imagine it's led by Sony. But this is what Sony is good at. And so it makes sense that they would lean on Naughty Dog and provide that. Do I think this will work? No, I don't think this will work. This is not something that we want. It's not going to make my wife, who doesn't play video games nearly as much as I do, it's not going to make her play video games more. It's not going to make your friends who don't play video games as much as you. It's not going to make them play video games more. It's not going to scratch an itch. It's not going to solve problems for video games, but it could solve a problem for Sony. It could give them more money. This is what they are looking for. Could this be a way to provide something on Netflix or Amazon? Those two services, those two companies are trying to get into video games in some form or fashion. Amazon is now publishing. Netflix is putting games on their platform. Perhaps Sony sees this as an opportunity and they're going, what if we create a game that's structured like a TV show and put it on something like Netflix? It could be. I don't know. But I feel like this is where this kind of idea comes from, because it really doesn't make any sense otherwise. It's not providing games. It's not making games better for us. It's not making games better overall. It's not new anymore. We've seen this. So this is a Sony idea, I imagine, being passed through with Naughty Dog. So if Sony truly has a plan with this, I think it could work. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. How do you feel? Are you excited about the idea of a TV structured video game? Do you like the idea of kind of waiting a little bit before the next episode comes out? How are you with episodic stuff? Are you excited about this? Are you excited about anything Naughty Dog is doing? You know how YouTube works. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tap whatever thumb you like. And also, please subscribe and tap the bell icon for more things like this and other things that we are doing on Gaming Trend. I'll talk to you later.